What's up guys, this is Code 6 Beluga, and today we're going to be ranking every single Call of Duty Zombies game from worst to best. Let's just get straight into this. So I think this honestly just goes without saying, but I had to make an entirely different category for this particular game because it's so bad. I think it's just honestly below F tier, and that's obviously Call of Duty Vanguard. I mean, what can I say about this game that hasn't already been said? The upgrading perks, the way that the entire game was handled was just awful. Granted, in a lot of ways, it wasn't even Treyarch's fault. They had apparently only about 8 months to actually develop the game from nothing. They couldn't get round-based going, and when they actually did get round-based going, the only one good map, I would say, it was a remake. Granted, that remake was good, but I don't think any single person was wanting a remake for the first and only good round-based zombie map. Not to mention the only actually good Easter egg on the entire game as well. Nothing particularly fun about the game. There was no Nebulian Plasma, there was no Liquid Divinium, nothing like that to spice up the gameplay. Hell, even the actual camo itself was terrible. I believe it was the atomic camo. It by far the worst. It was basically just a moving version of like a green tiger camo. It did nothing. It was awful. Imagine this, right? At launch, you had three different main objectives that you could do over and over and over and over again, and nothing else mattered. No one liked it. It deserves to be at the bottom. Even now, I think it only is up to 5 or 6 before they just completely canceled it. No reason to play it, no reason to go back to it. Okay, but now that that's out of the way, let's actually go into what I would consider the first actual attempt at Call of Duty Zombies on this list, and the worst version of that, in my opinion, is going to be Advanced Warfare. Now, if any of you actually remember when Advanced Warfare came out, Zombies wasn't even playable. In fact, to this day, you cannot play Advanced Warfare Zombies without first paying for the DLC, and that automatically puts it at the very bottom for me. There is no reason I should have to play overall a very mid map, which is Outbreak, to even attempt to see if Zombies is good. You shouldn't do that. It's awful. And honestly, it didn't get any better from there. The best map afterwards was Descent, the final map, and the two in between were terrible. Descent and Burger Town, affectionately known as, was awful. They would literally block off certain portions of the map with gas that would immediately kill you if you went anywhere near it. Combine that with just overall unfun gameplay, terrible pack-a-punch mechanics, and the only outstanding factor that I could honestly see from it, well, 2, I guess. Number 1 was the 3D printed mystery box, which actually allowed you to get exactly what you wanted if you were quick enough with your reaction times. A little overpowered, but I will admit it was pretty good. And it was actually the first Call of Duty Zombies to allow you to not have a perk limit, so you could just get every single perk on the map. The only 2 good additions, and even then, the 3D printed mystery box. So overall, it's the bottom at F tier. And for the last F tier, it's another game that, in my opinion, just really didn't do its job at a good Zombies, and that's going to be World War II. Now, hear me out. I don't think the gameplay is actually that bad. I think it's pretty average. The problem is, it's so average, I don't care about it, which is the worst possible thing you could have for a game. At least they allowed you to even try it at the beginning of the game, but the problem was no one cared about it. It was so mediocre, so just I have no feeling towards it. I barely remember the game, and the maps definitely weren't even that good to begin with. If no one talks about it, no one requests it, no one does anything, there's a reason why you don't see World War II gameplay. No one cares about it. It's awful. The entire game was just a dud, and if I don't care about it, if you don't care about it, no one cares about it. So why would I put it any higher than F tier? It has no emotion towards it, so what's the point? It was also, I believe, the first actual attempt at a on-spawn specialist system with, I believe it was, I believe there was 4 starting. I don't particularly remember them, and again, just like when it came to World War II, we shouldn't remember it, so whatever. All right, now we're actually going to go to a huge step up here into the D tier category. Keep in mind, whenever it comes to these particular categories, they're not exactly set in stone. Worst to F tier to D tier is a massive step up. From worst, you're going at like a 0%, F, you're going to a 50%, D, you're going to like a 74%. So keep in mind, these are massive jumps in quality. To start off the D tier list, I'm definitely gonna have to put Black Ops 4, especially when you compare this to the amazing game that is Black Ops 3. This was such a massive downfall, plagued by constant crashes, a perk system no one wanted, a revamp to the health system that was terrible, and even now, you still can't get above 200 HP, aka 4 hits. You still have to pack a punch 4 times. Speed Cola is not in the game. Double Tap's not in the game. You have to get them by Speed Cola acquiring all 4 perks. For Double Tap, you get it by pack a punching the weapon 4 times, basically doubling its damage. Nerfed alternate ammo types, leading to just terribly unfun gameplay. A lot of the maps also have a very big problem with just constant special enemy types spawning over and over and over again. It's not fun to play with. And even on my favorite map in the game, which is 9, it still has a massive problem when it comes to spawning and constant ice zombies, those big dudes, I forget their name, the electric zombies, the fire zombies. They're not fun to deal with, and I don't like playing it. The Boolean Plasma was a massive downgrade in comparison to the Gobblegum system. It was also heavily nerfed, so you couldn't even have fun when playing the game. Perkaholic in Black Ops 3 is considered like pretty good, but I don't even think it's in the top 5 for most people. It's not in my top 5 anymore for Gobblegums. In that game, it was like number 2 or number 1. Maybe Shopping Free was better. Maybe. But that was about it. So overall, I think it honestly does deserve its spot. It had some other good qualities, but every good quality, I could point out another 3 bad ones. Majority of the maps being bad. The just weird insistence on not wanting crutch perks, but then making Dying Wish or 4th slot Quick Revive or 4th slot Stamina. It was ass backwards the way they handled this game, the marketing, and it showed, especially later on in the dropping quality of cutscenes and the maps in general, with the constant remakes and reuse of certain assets. Just not fun. And coming off at our last D tier map, this one pains me, it really does, but it's World at War Zombies. There is absolutely nothing about this, in my opinion. The gameplay honestly deserves in like a B+ and -A category, but the problem is this game has first game syndrome written all over it. It is far too simple. There's not much to do. Shinonuma, basically, if you want to go for high rounds, is the only legitimate map I would recommend any player going for. Verrückt is way too hard. In Kino der Toten, you are literally sitting there with a flamethrower, just shooting it over and over and over and over again until you eventually lose your mind. There's a reason why the round disparity is so big when it comes to this game. It's definitely not bad, but the problem is, as you'll probably see from the section of this video, there really isn't much to talk about anymore. Like, what else do I say about this? It was the first Zombies game ever made. There's not much else to do with it, so I think it belongs in this category, sadly. I personally would put it higher, but if I want to try and keep this objective, I'm going to keep it in D tier. Next up, at our only C tier game, we are going to be putting Infinite Warfare. This game was overhated at launch, and honestly, looking back at the history, I'm not actually too sure why the Zombies was hated too much. Usually the Zombies community is fairly disconnected when it comes to the MP community, but I guess the futuristic setting was just so bad, especially with Battlefield 1 coming out at the time, that people just hated it outright no matter what the quality of the map was. And I will say, as time has gone on, Raven the Redwoods and Spaceland Zombies, really high quality maps, and I would actually consider everyone playing them if you have IW. If you don't, I wouldn't recommend it. Now, there are definitely some stinkers, such as the Radioactive Thing and the space map where the extinction aliens are. That one is terrible, I would say. There are interesting game modes such as the boss rush. The card system, I think, was kind of interesting, but it definitely had nowhere near the same amount of appeal as something like the Gobblegum system, or even in the Boolean Plasma system, in my opinion. It just didn't have the same flair, I guess you would say. So overall, I think that's a fairly good placement. So let's move on to the next one. And by the way, if you guys like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tell me where you would actually put these games right now. I would love to discuss this in the comment section. By the way, I'm going to try to respond to every single comment in the first 24 hours of the video. Go. Comment now. Now, at B tier, kind of controversial. I don't know how many people would do this, but I'm actually putting Cold War Zombies. Cold War Zombies had a massive problem with it lacking a soul, but the gameplay made up for it in absolute spades. People would call it way too easy. You got overpowered way too quickly, but in my opinion, it was just way too freaking fun, man. Getting the Mauer der Toten around 300 in like 4 hours for no good reason other than I have Ring of Fire and War Machine is just stupid and fun. The gunsmith system really does lend itself to amazing build variety, in my opinion, and going in with whatever gun you wish, spending all your scrap to upgrade it, and keeping that gun into the late game not only gave you a certain amount of flexibility, it honestly allowed the speedrunning community to really take off with this game. That also does come with its negatives, such as the armor system. I'm not a big fan of that, but it is better than Black Ops 4's, so I'll give them that. The upgraded perks, the outside of game upgrades was a fantastic addition, and I hope they're able to increase the variety of it somehow. That being said, though, I do want them to maybe try and include some more in-game upgrades. Not in the way that Vanguard did, but I think if they're able to include some mechanical way of including the outside upgrades to the actual gameplay itself, I think we'll have a recipe for success, especially especially with Black Ops 6. Not to mention, Outbreak was added to this mode, and so many people were introduced to zombies. I know this is controversial in the community, but the fact that more people were getting into zombies is nothing but a good thing, even if it's not the game mode that the hardcore people like me and maybe say you guys would enjoy the most. More variety, there's more people looking at the game. It's just a good thing overall, and it also increases the budget for zombies altogether. B tier, I think, is great. Now on to our first A tier. It is going to be Black Ops 1. I know this is going to get a lot of people upset, but personally, in my opinion, I think it belongs in A tier. This is such a fun, fluid, amazing game, but I just don't think it has the amount of pizzazz and the amount of excellence that the last two have for the S tier. I really want to keep it kind of tight like that. I mean, what can I say? The maps were fantastic. The mini bosses were fantastic. It laid the foundation for zombies to come, even more so than World at War. Amazing perks like stamina, PhD, mule kick were introduced into the game at this point, adding for different strategies to be involved, fun gameplay mechanics, and in my opinion, some of the best and most entertaining wonder weapons ever, and also the most badass. I mean, the scavenger, the baby gun, the wave gun, all, in my opinion, S tier, SS plus tier when it comes to fun, how interesting they are, and just how much I want to use them. Like, whenever I see something like the scavenger versus the ray gun, oh, I want that. Oh, speaking of which, this also had the best ray gun by far. The coolest, the most excellently handled. I mean, from just all the DLCs, I can't exclaim just how incredibly amazing this particular game was. Solid A tier, and it's never coming out. It will sometimes go into that S tier category with this next game that I'm about to say, because sometimes it does flip-flop. And speaking of that first S tier game for me, it is going to be Black Ops 2. This was my first Call of Duty game, so you can call me a bit biased whenever I say this, but in my opinion, this is better than Black Ops 1. We did absolutely come off to a rough start with Transit and Die Rise. However, we also had a ton of interesting, innovative game modes, such as Turned, Grief, like 8 player zombies. What? Can we have that back, please? Like, I beg you. I don't even care if it's unbalanced and like there's only 4 wonder weapons. I just want to play with 8 people just for the absolute hell of it. However, once we did get past that rocky start, we got, I think, the best 3-section maps we've ever gotten with this run of Mob of the Dead, Buried, and Origins, easily going in people's top 10, and very easily 2 of those maps will more than likely be in your top 5, if not even if your top 3. I can't express to you guys how much that this game changed the course of my life. If it wasn't for Black Ops 2, I wouldn't have gone into zombies. I wouldn't have cared that much about zombies. And in fact, I don't even know if I would have been playing Call of Duty at all. So I actually will credit Black Ops 2 as to the reason why I'm here. It also laid a massive foundation when it comes to buildables, such as the shield, crafting wonder weapons. It was the first inventor of the 4 craftable wonder weapons that each player could get with Origins with the staffs. It also brought us the amazing storyline with the Primus crew with Richtofen, Dempsey, Takio, and Nikolai all coming together through this epic saga, which ended in Black Ops 4, in my opinion, sadly with a dud, but the beginning with this new Origins was just absolutely perfect. Mob of the Dead, it's Alcatraz overrun with zombies. Like, and you're playing as mobsters. What more do you need for me to say? One of the hardest maps and one of the coolest ideas ever for a zombies map. It's just amazing. Buried, a fantastic location underground with just a ton of overpowered perma perks, a trap-based high round strategy, which definitely a lot of people wouldn't like. However, it included Vulture Raid, one of the coolest, and honestly a perk I really want to see come back. It's really overpowered. I know it's probably not going to come back, but like, please, can we get it to come back? I beg you. Transit and Die Rise, I know we're duds and considered some of the worst maps of all time, but overall, there's just nothing that stops it, from gameplay to fun to nostalgia, I guess. I will admit I'm a bit nostalgic, but still S tier all the way. And of course, you all already knew this was coming. Black Ops 3 is the undisputed GOAT for me. Not only does this, in my opinion, have the 2 best maps of all time, Shadows of Evil being number 1 and Horizon Rock being number 2, this also has had the most overpowered and just stupid fun zombies ever. Not to mention Zombies Chronicles. Zombies Chronicles is one of the most influential things for zombies, and in my opinion, why it wasn't canceled after Black Ops 4. I know, hot take, that might be insane, but in my opinion, it was. Being the #1 selling DLC on the PlayStation Store must have been something incredible. So not only do you have a really good lineup of Shadows of Evil, The Giant, Horizon Rock, Gorod Krovi, Zetsubo no Shima, Revelations, you then also bring back some of the classic maps such as Kino Dutone, Origins, Moon, all the World War maps, some of the Black Ops 1 maps. It just, you can't go wrong with this game. The movement is insane. The sliding constantly all around. The gobblegums, overpowered, stupid, broken. Who cares? It was so fun. Not to mention you could always save them by just Alt F4ing or just disconnecting from the internet, because guess what? The servers didn't save. So who cares? Also, again, some of the coolest aesthetics on maps from Gorod, Krovy, Dragons in Stalingrad. Amazing. Shadows of Evil, a Mob of the Dead-esque Chicago, New York, Orleans theme with this amazing jazz music. Widow's Wine, one of the best perks ever added to this game. Drak, in my opinion, was the one map that actually perfected the 4 wonder weapon system with the bows. All of them are absolutely fantastic. They're all A, S tier wonder weapons, all fun. The Easter eggs on this game were absolutely incredible. I know I haven't mentioned the Easter eggs too much, but that's because in my opinion, Black Ops 3 just blows almost every single game out of the water when it comes to the quality of these Easter eggs. The only 2 exceptions I would probably say are going to be that Revelations and Zetsubo no Shima, but besides that, honestly, I love every single one. I haven't completed all of them on PC, but on console, I almost have, I believe. I think I haven't completed Revelations, though. Wonder Weapons, fantastic. I mean, I don't think there's any particular reason I would never have this as my number 1. You guys maybe will disagree. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, guys, this is my completed list of all Call of Duty Zombies. And remember, guys, if your favorite game is in B tier and C tier, just remember, these things are just, I have to classify these somehow. And just because your favorite game may be in C or B tier doesn't mean they're bad. Far from it. Now, if your favorite games are in this, you may want to get better taste. I'm not going to lie. Anyway, guys, comment your list down below, like, sub, do all that, and I will see you guys in the next one. Oh, also, tell me what I should rank next time. See you later, guys.